Well, hey everybody, Pastor Roger here. Thank you for clicking on this to kind of catch up on a few things. I'm going to endeavor to do this a little bit more often so we can be pulling people together. We've been having Monday staff meetings, and they've been well attended, but I know that many of you work, and of course you can't get out here on Monday mornings at 11:30, but you can always be a part of what we're doing by staying in touch with us and us staying in touch with you. So a few things that I shared with our servant leaders this past Monday that I want to pass on to you. So if you'll take a minute and listen, those of you who are leading a ministry, involved with a ministry in our church, sometimes we have to be reminded of why we do what we do. And so that's what today is about. Why we do what we do is more important than what we do. If we don't understand the why in this, we're never going to understand the whole reason that God has set us apart, consecrated us, given us His holiness and His righteousness and His word to share with others. And it really comes down to this. It's simple. Our mission here at Freedom Church, your mission as a partner and a servant leader in Freedom Church, is to make disciples who make disciples. This is a key component of every single thing we do. And you may say, well, I serve on a team that mops the floors and cleans the toilets. How am I making disciples doing that? Well, I'm going to tell you what. People who would come to our church and searching for God, and they find that we don't take care of the stuff here at our church, they're gonna figure out that we may not take care of them, and we're gonna lose the opportunity to make a disciple who would make a disciple. So every single act of service at this church is a part of the mission of the church. Please don't miss that. Please don't think you're in some sort of lesser role if it's not a teaching role. We're all here to make disciples who make disciples. And so I want to share with you just kind of the overview of how do we do that. We know the why. The why is we make disciples who make disciples. That's our why, and it is driven by our spiritual DNA, which again, just to remind you, is we love broken people. We're passionate about seeing them restored through Christ, and so how do we do that? We get into the how, and there's just three things that I believe that every servant leader in our church needs to understand, and especially those that are in teaching roles, whether it be in the nursery, in the children's ministry, in the youth ministry, in the impact group ministry. These are all the same goals, and they are simple. It's RTS: reach, train, send. So every ministry. So when you're thinking about youth ministry, for example, how is your ministry reaching others? What are some of your strategies in reaching teenagers in that ministry? Children's leaders, how do we reach children? Impact group leaders, how do you reach people to bring them in, to get them connected in to the process of being a part of what we are doing here at Freedom Church? So that's the first step. How do we reach people? Number two, what are we doing to train them? See, our job is to equip them. Our job is to equip people for the works of the ministry. So again, as a children's leader, as one who is serving children in the ministry, what are we doing to actually train them for ministry? See, it's not about entertaining them, and it's not about giving them a Bible story. It's not about just some of the rudimentary things that we do. What are we training them for? And that question has to be asked. In children's ministry, for example, we should train children to be fully devoted followers of Jesus. That should be what we're training for. And how do we train them? What are we doing? And so as a person in the children's ministry, that's the way you should be thinking. Same for youth ministry, impact group, and so on. And then finally, send. If we're going to train somebody for something, we need to send them into that ministry. And we need to call them out in those things. I believe that we have a lot of people sitting around in our church, in our children's ministry, in our youth ministry, in our impact group ministry, or those who are just sitting around on Sunday morning, that God is calling into the mission field, whether that's short-term mission or long-term missions. We've got to speak in terms of that. If you're leading an impact group, speak in terms of where is God calling you. And then all of that flows into the process that you see at work when we talk about Sunday morning, discovering the great life. Because our job is the reach, the train, and the send. But what we're calling them to is to connect, to grow, and to serve. These two things work together. Our role, reach, train, send. Our goal for them is that they would connect with us, they would connect with the church family, that they would grow in God's Word, and that they would find their place of service. So these two things are synonymous. RTS, reach, train, and send. CGS, connect, grow, and serve. Now, how can I, as your pastor, how can I help you in that area? How can I help you develop for the ministry that you're involved in? How can I help you develop your strategies to reach, your strategy to train, and your strategy to your strategy to send? That's what I'm here for. I'm here to equip and train you for those same works. And so I'm excited to share that with you as we call the church together. A lot of exciting things are going on right now. It seems like the whole world is shutting down again in terms of the pandemic, but the church is exploding in terms of our ability to reach people, the people that are truly searching for answers right now. And as we move forward in the months ahead, from everything that we're hearing, from everything that we're seeing, we are going to have the greatest opportunity, I believe, to carry the message of the gospel than maybe any other generation. And if you look at that first generation in the book of Acts and you see the amazing things that happened around them, I'm believing for and calling us into a new season of the first century here in the 21st century. And so I want to challenge you in those areas. Let's have some conversations. If you're leading a ministry, I'm here to sit down with you. I'm going to be challenging you in the days ahead to actually have a written reach, train, and send document that talks about how in this season are you going to reach? What's your strategy? How in this season will you train, and how in this season will you send? I also want to let you know our invite cards are in stock again. If you've not seen them, I know that's kind of backwards because of the way this thing goes. It just has the church logo on one side with "You are amazing," and then on the other side of this, it talks about God says you're fearfully, you're wonderfully made, you're God's masterpiece, you're God's child, that He has a purpose for your life. It's a great conversation piece for people. Then it has a little invite there at the bottom that says when our celebration service is at 10 a.m. on Sunday. So that's just a little bit for this week. Hope to catch up with you again next week. God bless you. I love you, and I'll be praying for you.